What's up, everybody? Now, recently, you may have noticed that I did a video where I talked about the fact, and I know some people, now, first of all, I know some people felt that it took too long to do, but I had to basically talk about it. Well, I got an email from the subscription manager over at Archie Comics. Now, I'm not sure if I'm the only one that got a similar email from him, but primarily, he's acknowledged the delay that's been going on, and because of said delay, that there will be an extension in my subscription. Now, I don't know if maybe that's because I've been the most vocal about it or what, but I'm going to say this right off the bat. This is something that none of us should be that vocal about at all. And that's a fact. We shouldn't have to come out and vocalize through email. Well, we should, but we shouldn't have to go this far to vocalize our displeasure, our displeasure in the fact that we have been waiting for months and months and months. Now, I can understand out of courtesy and the fact that, they don't want to lose business, that they will give an extension of the subscription, of the current subscription, to said subscriber or subscribers by the months and time frame that, well, the subscriptions were missed. I can understand that completely. But what I don't understand is the logic behind the fact that this whole thing began back around November, basically around the holiday season last year, and that it's been December, January, February, March we got some kind of April we got some kind of reprieve as far as I know, but December, January, February, and now with May, December, January, February, March, and now with possibly May, I look at the fact that it should be more equivalent as to the time that's being missed. Now, true, if you do end up getting the issue in the mail, like I did with 279, I'm pretty sure a lot of you did as well, then that's understandable. That's perfectly fine. But if you're delaying the inevitable, if your delay, I should say, let me correct myself. If your delay is by 4 months and not 2, then shouldn't your extension be by 4 months? 4 issues, not 2? I mean, I can understand maybe from a business standpoint that's to bait you in to subscribe so that you'll be in time for the mega event that's supposed to originally take place in the summer, but it's not. Now, here's where I think, well, I've mentioned before in the other video, where I think a company like Archie Comics needs to take a page out of Marvel's playbook. They need to take a page out of Marvel's playbook and of Lucasfilm's playbook. And what I mean by taking a page out of the playbook is they need to negotiate with other companies, whether it be IDW, whether it be DC, heck, even Marvel themselves. They need to take some kind, they need to take an example, a page out of their books, and negotiate a deal to where they'll still be able to be their own entity. They'll still be able to, sorry, I moved the mic there for a second, still be able to be their own entity, but at least have the backing and support of someone a lot more higher up than they are. You take a look at the fact that they've got this deal with the CW, which is a Warner Brothers division. They got this deal with the CW to do a Riverdale series, right? So what's to stop them from working with DC, making a deal maybe with DC Comics, to where, they'll be DC Comics, Warner Brothers, if you will be the owner. They'll basically, be under their umbrella, but still be able to do their own thing. Like like nothing will really change. Like Archie Comics will still be Archie Comics. It's just that now there'll be a partner. There'll sort of be a division, a partner, a part of the DC Comics family. The same with IDW. Think of this. IDW is not as big as DC or Marvel, but they're getting there. Some have said that they're bigger in a sense than Archie Comics. And Archie Comics was part of the original Big Three. So when you look at IDW, perhaps a partnership between the two could work out as well. Hear me out. You see, a partnership between the two, especially like, let's say, Archie kind of being a division for them, could work out in a sense that IDW seems to always be on time, as far as I know and understand, seems to be on time with the subscriptions to the subscribers. And maybe being under that same banner, maybe that same roof, but being able to do their own thing still, be their own entities still, could work out. See, this way, Archie Comics wouldn't have to worry about delays or printing problems and all that. They'd be able to probably work with IDW to get that printing, to get the issues out on time. They'd be able to do that. Same if they made a deal with DC. Maybe even make a deal with Marvel. They would always have that outlet to say, hey, at least we'll be able to get the issues out on time. There will be no delay. And they won't have to worry about moving from building to building. They'll be primarily the primary base, if you will, because they'd be part of it in some way, would be the headquarters of IDW or the headquarters of DC or the headquarters of Marvel. They'd be able to do that. And again, because of that kind of a partnership, that kind of a deal that could be made, very similar to what Disney has with Marvel and Lucasfilms, it could work. I mean, Marvel and Lucasfilms, let's look at it this way, okay? Let's look at it this way. Marvel and Lucasfilms are able to do their own thing. Every time, for example, when Star Wars The Force Awakens came out last year, did you see before the movie began, did you see the that, the beginning to every Walt Disney movie, with showing the Cinderella castle, Sleeping Beauty Cinderella castle or anything like that? No, you didn't. You just saw him say Lucasfilms, and that's it. Same with Marvel Studios. Do you always see the Walt Disney banner before the Walt Disney Pictures banner before the beginning of a Marvel studio? No, you didn't. Instead, before a Marvel studio film, no, you just see Marvel Studios. That's it. You don't see anything else. You just see Marvel Studios. That's it. And to me, that's something that I think Archie Comics could benefit from by partnering with someone like DC, IDW, maybe even Marvel. Because they'd still be able to be themselves. It'd be like nothing's really changed, except they would have more accessibility to things that they would need to keep themselves going, so there would not be no delay. And again, going back to what I was talking about, if they're making a deal with DC, making a deal with the CW, a WB network, if you will, a WB network to... Sorry about that. But my dog was barking at somebody outside. But anyway, like I said, they'd still be able to be their own thing. They wouldn't, but they would have accessibility to things that they would need to prevent delays from happening. And going back to what I was saying before I paused there, if they're making this deal with the CW, which is a WB network division for the Riverdale series, then why don't they just work with Warner Brothers and DC, work out some kind of deal that would allow them to still be themselves, be like nothing's really changed, but be able to now have access to what they need, so they do not have to worry about any more delays. I mean, let's be honest. Warner Brothers, DC Comics under Warner Brothers, they have several other comic book titles and publishers partnered with them under their belt. But yet those comic book publishers companies, if you will, divisions, even though they're now part of the DC Comics company, a part of DC Comics, it doesn't feel like they've joined at all. I mean, they're still publishing comic books under their name. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I think it's only natural that if you're going to make a deal like this, to do a Riverdale-like series, that the best solution, in my opinion, is to try to work out a deal with DC Comics, Warner Brothers, and try to get some kind of similar deal to what those other comic book companies, now divisions, have with them, to the point that you're still able to publish your own comics under your name. It's just that now you're partnered with a bigger, more profitable company as far as comic book sales go. And by being partnered with said company, it opens the door for you to do a lot more with your characters, or even your licensed characters. A lot of people say, hey, there's 20 plus years of Sonic stories in the comic, of epic Sonic stories and story arcs in the Sonic book and spin-offs. There's enough here to do several direct-to-video animated films, just like DC does with their stuff. And a partnership like that could work out for them. But also, it would prevent delays from ever happening. Now, I'm not saying DC and Marvel and IDW and other companies like them are innocent in this. I'm not. But what I'm saying is it would in delay, but they're not as delayed as, Archie Comics has been over the past few months. You take a look at the fact that one of the primary reasons for delay is they were moving from one office to another, from one building to another. And it's like, the most proper thing to do, if you're Archie Comics or any comic book company or any company in particular, and you have a subscription service, but yet you're going to move from one address to another, my suggestion is to inform your subscribers of said move, and that because of said move, there might be, if not will be, delays in the subscriptions arriving on time. And yes, maybe offer them right off the bat. Because of that, potentially offer them maybe an extension by the month or months time frame of said delay. You don't do this. I mean, not that I don't appreciate, if you will, I don't appreciate an extension of 2 issues on my current subscription. I do appreciate it, but I think the more appropriate extension would be for the months that were missed. And I'm talking 4 months in general. I'm not talking 2 months. I'm talking 4. Because of the fact that if you don't get these issues out on time, and when you finally do, you need to make up for it with an extension of time, with the extension in subscription for the length of time that was missed. And I think that's what they need to do. Now, again, these are just my opinions, my thoughts, my suggestions on how I feel companies like Archie Comics can fix these kind of delaying problems from ever happening again. They either, one, if they're going to move from one location to another, they needed to, and still should, if they do it again, and this goes for any comic book publisher, major or independent, if you have subscribers, you need to let them know when you're moving and when the move is going to happen, and whether or not it's going to affect whether or not it's going to cause a delay in the subscription. Because if it does, you let them know that, okay, it's going to probably be a month before you get said issue that was supposed to come out this month, so in exchange we'll give you 1 month extension. That makes sense. Or if it takes longer than that, say we're going to give you, since it took 3 months to get your subscription back going, everything back up and running, because you missed 3 months in your subscription, we'll give you 3 months in return. It only makes sense. Easy for me to say. from where I stand. And I'm sure a lot of you would agree with that. A lot of you would agree. Now, with that said, again, these are just suggestions. Because I think if they were to partner with somebody, or at least allow someone like DC Comics or IDW or even Marvel to buy them out, but make it to a point that, they could still be, work out, easy for me to say. I'm getting tongue-tied here. But basically make it to a point that they could work out some kind of deal that allows them to still be themselves, still do their own thing, except now they're under the umbrella of a bigger, more successful comic book publisher. It could work. I mean, why do you think companies like Hasbro, Nickelodeon, creators like Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, why do you think they're all making deals with a company like IDW? Because they're a huge hit and they're never delayed as far as I know. So I think the most logical to maybe work it out to where they could still do their own thing, but it'd be beneficial for them as well as maybe even IDW, is to make a partnership that allows them to have access to a lot of the printing technology that they have, so that there's no delay anymore. And again, the same could be said for DC Comics and maybe even Marvel. But they need to do something so that something like this does not happen ever again, as far as I'm concerned. Something like this does not happen ever again, as far as I'm concerned. Because you know why? Here's why. Because if this happens again, people are going to want to not have anything to do with Archie Comics. And I'm not talking the Sonic comics and the various Sonic titles that come out of it. I'm talking all of Archie. They're not going to want to have anything to do with them, ever. So again, my suggestion is for them to work out a deal, get something going to where they can partner with another major comic book publisher like DC, IDW, or Marvel, but work something out that allows them to still be themselves, act like nothing's really changed. I mean, when Marvel got bought by Disney, a lot of people thought things were going to change there, but guess what? It feels like nothing has. Nothing has really changed. It feels like Marvel, the only difference is it's not, Paramount presents a Marvel Studio film anymore. It's just Marvel Studios. Disney's letting them still be themselves. Disney is not interfering in any of the publications of the Spider-Man or Avengers or Captain America or Iron Man comic books. They're not doing that. They're not really, interfering. The only thing about the partnership is now Marvel gets to work in putting out Disney comics again. They've gotten the license that IDW had, and now they'll be able to do that. But again, that's the kind of deal I think Archie Comics should look into and negotiate with other comic book publishers out there and other major companies, period, so that way a delay like this never happens again. Because to me, if you're going to move from one location to another, and that's going to cause a delay and maybe even cause printing problems, you need to you need to let your subscribers know. You need to let the comic book shops that are expecting a delivery of your book, you got to let them know, and you got to let them know that you're going to make it up to them equally to the time that was lost. That's just the way I look at it. But those are just my suggestions. And again, I feel that if you're missing several months, not just 2, but 4 months, because that looks like what it is to me, you should get an equal extension of a 4 months to your subscription by the 4 issues you've missed instead of 2. But overall, my suggestion, folks, is for them to work out a deal, is to seek out a deal, work with somebody else, whether it's IDW, DC, Marvel, what have you, so that they can have a partnership that will make sure something like this never happens again. But those are just my suggestions. You let me know what you guys think down below of those suggestions. Do you think I'm correct in those? And who do you think would be the more proper